Welcome back to the Connect Show. Dr. Brooke is guest co-hosting today, and we are so happy to have you. You will be checking in over the next several weeks and sharing tips on how we can put our health first.
So excited. So let's get a little deeper into it and talk more about this self-love, because I do feel like, especially when daylight savings comes, women get serious, right? We're like, oh wait, it's 8 and it's light. I gotta get tied. We're so serious about our health when it comes to the spring. What do we need to know? What can we do? I know there's no quick fix, but what are some first steps in getting healthy this spring?
Right. So I always emphasize getting plenty of fruits and vegetables. And it's easy to say, it's harder to do. We're so used to our fast, convenient foods, but those foods carry a lot of calorie density. And so if we're not getting a lot of nutritional value, our bodies are going to hold on to that calorie density looking for the nutrition, when in reality, we should really be eating those things that have nutrients in them. So we're not holding on to the calorie density, but we're getting a lot of foods with a lot of nutrients without all the calories. And then we're going to feel less bloated and we're going to feel lighter. And we're going to have great energy. So that's what I would focus on, getting fruits and vegetables.
And Dr. Brooke, some of the best love you can, or we can give ourselves as well, is sleep. I hadn't heard of this term until recently. What is sleep hygiene?
So sleep hygiene, it may be more of an outdated term. It's been around for a while. It's it's the term used to around the environment that we give ourselves for sleep. So if you want to give yourself a good place to sleep, usually that entails having a quiet place with, no light that's dark. Sleep hygiene also, it talks about what activities you undergo before you go to sleep, like not having any screen time and not activating your brain, things like that, to really kind of get you in the mood to go to sleep so that your body gets all of those triggers and that you sleep better, which is all great. But I think more and more, all of the sleep psychologists that really study sleep focus more now on the psychology of sleeping. So yes, there are some things that we can do to help us sleep better in our routine, but and those things are like sleep hygiene triggers, but there's more that we can do.
So you talk about removing things, from our diet. So you really encourage people to stay away from dairy. Can you talk about the effects of it?
Sure. So dairy is the most common source of saturated fat in the American diet. And those saturated fats cause things like heart disease, stroke, obesity, diabetes. These are all chronic diseases that we're plagued with that are modifiable, right? Also, dairy has hormones, bovine hormones, usually bovine growth hormones. These growth hormones tend to exacerbate cancer, right? So things that respond to hormone like prostate and breast cancer can be exacerbated by dairy products. So staying away from those is not only going to lower your risk of those diseases, it's going to increase your longevity. And then in terms of if we can tolerate dairy milk or not, 65% of the population is actually lactose intolerant. So that lends itself, the researchers say we were never really intended to be drinking the milk from another animal. We were only intended to drink our own mother's milk and then transition to more plant-based, either water or plant-based milks or nuts or stuff like that. But there's been a large push by the Physicians Committee on Responsible Medicine to try and change the USDA's recommendations around dairy. For the longest time, it seems it has been influenced by the dairy industry, those recommendations. And we've all thought, by no fault of our own, that milk is very healthy for us, healthy bones and stuff, when in reality, we can get that calcium and vitamin D in other sources and not take on the health hazards that dairy presents.
Humans are the only mammals that drink another animal's milk. we're the only ones. It's interesting when you break that down. And it apparently, if you talk to scientists, they're going to say it's because of thumbs. Like there's a whole theory behind why humans drink animal milk. But it's still interesting, so interesting. And how it feeds cancer is also, I think, even more explosive and not spoken about as much as it could be. And talk about managing pre-existing conditions, because food is medicine, food is life. What are ways we can manage pre-existing conditions that we are aware of or not with food?
Right. So, of course, I would never take anybody off of their chronic medication and just try and feed them with food and try and, manage their medication, their chronic disease that way. That would just be irresponsible. But what I do encourage people to do is to slowly change their lifestyle habits and monitor those markers of those diseases. And as those markers improve, we can take you off of things like statin medication for cholesterol and blood pressure medication. We can lower insulin levels. And that's all done by changing your diet to increasing your vegetable content. A lot of our cruciferous vegetables have extraordinary healing capacity, and they can do so much for inflammation in our body and give us the right phytonutrients and phytochemicals to fight some of these chronic disease. We've even seen reversal of heart disease when people transition to a mostly plant-based diet.
I love that. So
much
good.
Yeah, so much good stuff, Brooke. And I can't wait. I cannot wait to see you right back here next week with more.
Yes, me too, Brooke. So excited. Well, as we wrap the show today, continuing to celebrate amazing women like both of you for Women's History Month. Up next, you will meet celebrity chef Tommi Vincent. She is wife to Troy Vincent, who is the executive vice president of the NFL, a former player, one of the GOATs. She's talking about how she is now living her life on purpose. We'll be right back.